This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. Delighted to be joined by the knowledge, Spencer Fearon. How are you, sir?
I'm really good, even better for seeing you. It's hot outside.
It's always hot.
Yeah, exactly.
Always hot. Yeah, a few things to talk to you about. Obviously, I want to start from the revelations of last weekend in Los Angeles, where certain things happened that didn't seem possible, but they did happen.
Well, if you look on what Tyson Fury did, was incredible. It was incredible. Even though, forget about the result of the draw. It was very, very similar to, June 1989, when Sugar Ray Leonard and Tommy Hearns had that epic fight, and Ray Leonard got knocked down twice, and he was kind of gifted a draw. It went 12 rounds. But in this fight here with Tyson Fury, I find it increasingly difficult to score that fight and give Deontay Wilder 4 rounds. I find it really hard to give him 4 rounds. But even more so, I find it very, very difficult to give him a draw. That's hard. And it's hard, even though he got the 2 knockdowns. Tyson Fury boxed incredible. He was superb in there. How he boxed, how he slipped shots, how he was rolling on the inside, how he was always having the last word. Even after being knocked down, he would try and have the last word, and it wasn't forced. And the mere fact that he got knocked down, I thought Tyson Fury in the 12th round got shot by an elephant gun. Like, I thought Deontay Wilder was a poacher. Like, he was just boom, and he went down. I was like, you're not allowed a gun in the ring like that. So, and for him to get up, and not be groggy. He wasn't even groggy. He was up. He did a little jig as well. This, trust me. There's a really good quote by Eric Thomas, the motivational speaker, that says, like, everybody can get knocked down, but it's your choice whether you choose to stay down. And that was the thing. He didn't choose to stay down. It's the staying down that's the problem. He said, I'm gonna get back up, and he got back up. And he bossed the end of the round, even though he bossed the end of the round. All the credit in the world should be given to Tyson Fury, and even more so is the fact that he now has got the adulation of the British public.
You've seen a lot of fights, you've seen a lot of high-profile fights. That was a high-profile fight for our era of the highest order, if you like. Considering it was the 12th round, what was at stake, no one seems to understand, including Tyson Fury, how he actually managed to get up. I mean, he started, I believe, on around between 5 and 6 seconds, making his kind of way up. But you don't see that a lot in boxing. I don't remember the last time I see something as
profoundly spiritual,
if you want to word it like that.
And that's what I'm wording it. I'm saying it was profoundly spiritual. You know what? Everybody has, as human beings, we have rituals that we go through. If you do something consistently, it becomes a ritual, but you don't even realize that it's become a ritual. And whatever you believe in, that becomes your religion, right? Because the word religion comes from the word religio, and that means to bind. If you're binded to something, like Tyson Fury is a deeply religious man. But as well as him being a deeply religious man, look at his practices before fights. Do you know what I mean? He prays the Christian prayer. And then he has a Muslim guy who says the Al-Fatihah, which is the beginning chapter and verse of the Holy Quran. So he draws credence and substance from that. And I believe that because of that, and where he turned around, he said he had mental health issues. So that belief to say, well, I've conquered all of these kind of things. He's conquered obesity, drinking drugs, the mental health issue, and speaks openly about it. These are the things where you champion those things. So you getting knocked down by Deontay Wilder, considering you put in the balance of all the other things that he's overcome, then on the scale of things, then that's nothing. And that's why he got up.
There's been some talk, shall we say, since the fight about the amount of time that Tyson Fury was given from when he got up to when the fight continued from referee Jack Reese.
Spare me all of that nonsense. It's the same thing in 1990 in Tokyo, Japan, when Mike Tyson Knockdown Buster Douglas, right? And they said the story of the long count, Gene Tunney, who's one of my favorite fighters, versus Jack Dempsey, he gets knocked down, and it's a story of the long count. But it's a story of the long count. As a fighter, right? You haven't got to stop watching your head. You're going by what the referee's counting. The referee didn't deliberately count slowly and think, oh, get up, Tyson, like he's willing Tyson Fury to win. The referee was a very, very fair referee. I've watched that fight. You know when there's a long count, or you know when there's something dubious going on. That wasn't a long count. But if you're looking for any form of excuse to hold on to, oh, Deontay Wilder knocked him out. And the next thing, I've never hated on Deontay Wilder. I actually rate Deontay Wilder. I rate him for the things that he's come out and said publicly. I think that shows a lot of bravery. I rate Deontay Wilder. And that's like he's saying, like, well, within the community of black people, like, we don't show love to each other. Well, I'm a person of color, and I'm saying, Deontay Wilder, I'll show you love. Whatever I've said in the past that could have upset you, or all the rest of it, that's cool. But it's like I said, it's never ever racism, it's tribalism. And we associate to who we know. So Tyson Fury being a UK fighter, and I have an affinity with Tyson Fury because culturally he listens to the same music that he understands what's going on. He listens to the same music that I do. I mean, Tyson Fury had a dub plate the other day. I give Tyson Fury a lot of ratings. So it's nothing against Deontay Wilder, bar the fact that he's not British. Hence why I'll be backing Dylan White to beat you. I'll be backing Anthony Joshua to beat you, because these are men that I know and I associate with.
The draw kind of not leaves things in the air, but I suppose it's unclear about A, what Tyson Fury will do next, B, what Deontay Wilder will do next, and C, where it leaves Anthony Joshua, who, from his tweets yesterday, suggests that he'll look for a fight with either one of them.
Well, the thing about it is this, is like Anthony Joshua wasn't really publicly saying anything about Wilder or Tyson Fury prior to the fight. Then you're saying something after the fight. Anthony Joshua just get on doing Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua's done fantastically well. He's a role model, how he's been presented and everything else. When you say you want to fight these guys, then fight them. But I know if the offer was made, and I know there was certain stipulations that they had in the offer, was shall you think or made to you the first time, and it wasn't taken up on, which is sad. But Tyson Fury has kind of stolen some of your thunder now, because Tyson Fury at the present moment is the most talked about heavyweight in the world, because everybody's talking about the climatic time of you being knocked down, everything else that you went through, the way that you box. And the nicest thing, when have we seen a heavyweight throw jabs like that? Look at the first round. There was a time where he moved off from Deontay Wilder and threw 3 consistent jabs, and every jab had snap on it. And it was like he was trying to copy what Larry Holmes used to throw his jab with his hand open, and then just when it's going to hit the target, he closed the knuckle. And it was like, that's what Tyson Fury was doing. That was excellent. Seriously, that was excellent boxing by Tyson Fury. And if we revert back, especially on Ringside Toe to Toe, I was constantly backing Tyson Fury. But even then, I was backing him, I'm thinking of Tyson Fury of old. This new revigorate Tyson Fury is better than the guy that beat Klitschko.
Really?
Better than the guy that beat Klitschko. The reason why? Because he's more wise now. You know what I mean? He hasn't got the demons of... There was a herky-jerkiness to Tyson Fury before. I don't see that herky-jerkiness anymore. I see a more consistent professional now. Seriously, Tyson Fury, in my eyes right now, stylistically, is the best heavyweight in the world. Not saying that Anthony Joshua couldn't, because I reckon Anthony Joshua was to hit Tyson Fury, go beast mode on him. I think Deontay Wilder was hesitant because people saying, well, Tyson Fury don't crack. Well, he hits hard enough to gain your respect that you don't want to get involved.
Let's go back to the press conference day of Fight Week.
I know what you're going to ask me.
Okay. Quite a notable moment that was well publicised and shared numerous times amongst social media and other outlets. And I believe that a lot of people watching Deontay Wilder's outburst towards Radio Raheem probably don't understand why he had that outburst, and we've already spoken about this off camera.
Right. Would you have asked that question to Deontay Wilder?
In the way that Raheem did?
Yeah, would you have done it?
In the way that he did?
Yeah.
Most probably not. But I'm not a black person.
Yeah, but you're a person of color, though.
I am a person of color.
So you being a person of color, you know what it's like to feel prejudice. You know what it's like to feel ostracized. You know what it's like to feel racism. You can't turn around and say you've never experienced racism in your life. You've experienced it.
Absolutely.
Right,
absolutely.
exactly. We don't touch on these things. Unfortunately, this is how it goes. It's in the world that we live in right now. Is like we don't touch on racism, and there's a lot of racial effigies, like little sneaky racial bits, which we don't touch on. And if you speak about it, then you've got a chip on your shoulder, right? So I think that Deontay Wilder is a very passionate person. Deontay Wilder is a person that talks on race issues, which sometimes I rate him for coming out in the way that he is, because at the end of the day, I'm a person of color. Have I faced racism? Of course I have, but on many a times, then you have to understand what racism really is. Racism sometimes has been through misinformation to other people, because there's only one race, and I'm not going to sound corny, but there is only one race, and that is the human race, right? But we have within the human race tribes, and then we become tribal within our own surroundings. So we will side with people that have, which we look to identify with, and we'll use color first. But you have to think, where did it come from? That came from the 14th century. Spanish Inquisition, that's where it first came from. A lot of people don't know that, but I'll just give you something there, right? So I would have asked him that question myself. But I'm glad that he said it in the way that he did say it, because...
Who are you talking about?
Deontay Wilder.
Right.
I'm glad that he replied in the way that he was.
Okay, but what about the way the question was asked to him, which is what seemed to set Deontay Wilder off? That seems to be the issue more so than what was being said by Deontay Wilder at that point.
Well, I think that Radio Raheem, who I regard as a friend, so I'm not speaking ill of you, I think Radio Raheem could have maybe worded it better, but if he did word it better, I don't think he'd have got the response.
He wouldn't have got the response.
He wouldn't have got the response. But, you know what I mean? It's like...
So did he know what he was doing?
No, I don't think he did. I actually spoke to him about it, and I don't think he actually did, even though he knew what he was talking about, but I just think if it came out wrongly or whatever, he got a lot of, it trended, so he's happy. But I'm, before I'm going to say like, oh, as a person of color, you know what I mean? I'm a person who happens to be a human being, and that comes before everything else. And our binary things that we have in common with people is that we should be working more so on our similarities more than our differences. As every human being on the planet, we should be working on our similarities more than our differences. And if we start to work on our similarities, then everybody will be actually cool with somebody else, because we got a common affinity. But I do respect Deontay Wilder for speaking about racial issues in the way that he has on that topic. There's certain times where he says on certain things, I say, it seems like you got a chip on your shoulder. And that's coming from me because I got the biggest chip on mine. But to hear Deontay Wilder say what he said about what black people have gone through for 400 years. Remember, the first slave ships landed in America 1619. So, and he's from Alabama as well. So can you imagine the adverse racism that he must have grown up in? Come on, man, let's just be real. I'm just being real. So he was venting, and he's used his platform to vent. Lots of people get a platform and they don't vent, but he's used his platform to vent. And a lot of black people were saying, "Oh, Spence, you're a sellout because," and you must have been seeing it on my page. Like everyone's saying, "Oh, Spencer, you're a sellout because you're supporting Tyson Fury." I'm saying, of course I'm supporting Tyson Fury. Like, oh no, I was getting this a lot. Oh, my Uncle Tom, I'm this. I was getting all this abuse because I was supporting Tyson Fury. And on the flip side, how many times am I being accused of being racist because I'm supporting a person of color? So either way, I'm saying, right, I can't. You're damned if you do.
You're screwed either way.
Either way, you're damned. So I'm just gonna do me, man.
Let's just go back to actually why Deontay Wilder kind of was talking about this specifically on that day, because he was responding to some comments that Tyson Fury had made about the history of his family and his heritage. But do you think that Deontay Wilder really kind of knew where Tyson Fury was coming from?
No, he didn't.
I think there was a little bit of...
because at the end of the day, all that Deontay Wilder is seeing is, and this is the thing, it's like lack of knowledge is darker than night. Unfortunately, with Deontay Wilder, he doesn't know the history of travellers. He doesn't understand the history of the travelling community, especially within the UK. Like, the travelling community have been ostracised. The travelling community are looked down on, have been denigrated. You go look on it, but on the reals, you go to any boxing club, or you speak to any kid growing up on a council estate who have had travellers move into the estate, the travellers will have a common association with those, because I grew up around travellers on the reals, so I've got mad love for them, and vice versa. So for me growing up, my experiences with travellers were never ever racial. You know what I mean? Or me being in the gyms, me and Matthew Barney were tight. We were like brothers when we were training together, right? The former British light heavyweight champion. So on those kind of things, a lot of people don't really get it. And not only that, but there is a fearlessness inside travellers which is being contextualized and culturalized in how they behave. You're gonna see how they are. They're very, very upfront and very chest forward and brave kind of people. So travellers have a rule to themselves. But my experience, I don't deal with my own personal experience. My experience with the travelling community has always been grounded and loved. So I think Deontay Wilder didn't understand when Tyson Fury is saying, well, what he's gone through, because remember, the travellers in the UK, right, are white skinned, but they have been ostracized because they're travellers. So can you imagine this? You've been ostracized by the hierarchical European society, and you're a white person. So think about it. So, but he didn't understand where he come from. So, but if he did, then he could have, okay, I get it. But end of the day, I'm a black man, and just check the history. What we've gone through as black people, period. So you know what? I rate Deontay Wilder for saying what he said, but he just didn't understand where Tyson Fury was coming from.
You've been doing a lot of work with the MTK Foundation.
I'm being really grateful for doing that.
Talk to me about it.
Man, we just saved the boxing gym. The Sting ABC in Croydon was looking closure, and it was my brother-in-law who contacted me and said, could I do something for it? And I got onto some lovely sweet lady called Miss Vaughan, Sandra Vaughan, and Danny Vaughan, and they were saying, like, how much do we need? And it was a little bit to save the club from being closed, and we saved the club from being closed. And in that club, this is what I'm trying to say: boxing breaks all boundaries, racial, sexual preferences. It surpasses all of these kind of things, because within that club, there's Albanian kids in there. There's English Europeans. There's so many different people, black kids in there. So many different cultures, right, all in one body. That is just the club. One of their kids boxed recently at the York Hall on a show, and it was so nice to see like the whole community come out, and it was a mixed culture who came out to support this little young man. So, you know, I'm so grateful to the foundation for helping them, also helping bettering education, which is like helping kids with their education, helping them to seek jobs. We're doing great stuff. So because of that, it really it's buzzed me, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm not saying that it's buzzed me, and I'm sorry. I get loads and loads and loads of emails from people who need help, and we look at everything, and we are doing our best to help you. So if it takes a little time for me to get back to you, it's understandable. It was only 23 hours, 56 minutes and 4 seconds of a day that I've got, but I'm doing my best to help everybody. And because of that stuff, or to see, when you're seeing like when people get the chance to give back and seeing the good that it does, and not only that, right now, this knife and gun violence in the UK is nuts. It's ridiculous. So I've been speaking to quite a few MPs across the board, and MTK Global Foundation is we're setting up an awareness camp for our young kids.
I mean, we've spoken about this before, that there is help out there. It's just some people don't know there's help out there. So with the MTK Foundation, I suppose it's kind of putting the message out there that, hello, we're here, and if we can help, we will help.
But listen, we have massive board meetings, and we've structured how to help. People do need help, bottom line, and we've got to do our best to try and help as many people as possible. And I think it's in a few months we got a GoFundMe page where people can send in donations. There was a famous fighter in the 70s called Bunny Sterling, who was the first man of colour, the first immigrant to win a British title, and he passed away recently. Bunny was my friend. I rated Bunny. He fought everyone. He fought everybody. He was such a good fighter. He beat Morris Hope. Morris Hope went on to become the WBC light middleweight champion of the world. You know, he fought Finnegan in a classic. Anthony Mundine was a Commonwealth champion from Australia. He fought everyone. He was just that guy. But he was a pioneer. He was a very, very classy guy, excellently skilled man. But he died in relative poverty, and he suffered from dementia. And yet again, the foundation are going to be helping to pay for his funeral, and that's a touching thing to me. So I'm calling out to every British middleweight champion alive to be present at this funeral, and I'm going to personally give you invites to come to the funeral. I'm close to his daughter as well. She's a really Davinia, really nice young lady. So it's all about helping. So that's what we're trying to do.
What's the plan over the next 12 months for the foundation? How do you kind of see it?
Oh man, it's buzzing because we are setting up semi-residential homes for underprivileged where we're going to house kids, and within the housing kids we're going to have a music studio, because you get a lot of these little young kids who are into the music now. So we're looking to set up MTK Global Music, which that's going to help. My friend Manny Musa, who's a rapper, Sykes, he's helping me with that, along with quite a few. You just saw the video from Big Nasty, so he's on board as well. And we're just trying to give back. But if underprivileged kids who are homed, they're housed, but you can be taught boxing as well, because boxing is an incredible curriculum to learn and to have discipline. So we're going to have that in place. And we're starting that, myself and Anthony Powell, along with the foundation, we're doing that. So that means a lot to me, because it's like, I don't know, as a kid, I always idolized Cus D'Amato, who trained Mike Tyson, who was the youngest heavyweight of all time. You know what I mean? They trained Floyd Patterson, who previously was, before Mike Tyson, the youngest heavyweight to ever win the world crown, because he won it at 21. And he had a house where he just had fighters living in his house, right? And something like that and sometimes maybe you ain't gonna become a fighter, but just for you to know, like, you've come from good stock, or you've had little guidance and stuff like that along the way, and you've been mentored correctly. I'm not turning around saying I'm gonna be the best mentor, but I know from the tracks of where I've come from, and maybe I'm not where I want to be, but it's so much better than where I've come from. So, you know what I mean? It's about winning. It's like when my dad died. He didn't die and leave me a lot financially, but when my dad died, it's not what you leave to them, it's what you leave inside of them. And what my dad left inside of me is making me win, and you want to try and spread that good energy along the line so everyone else starts to feel that good energy. So yeah, the semi-residential housing that we're looking to start, we're up in the new year, and it's for underprivileged kids. We've got loads of qualified people in that area to look after you, but then you'll be going to the gym, we'll be educational programs for you, and we're also starting a food program as well. So Bricks and Soup Kitchen, Solomon, who's down there, good guy, we're doing something with them. I think we're doing something for Christmas, so they've made a donation for them, for the Bricks and Soup Kitchen, for us to feed the homeless around Christmas. You know what I mean? And everyone have a Merry Christmas.